If I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self about manifesting, I wouldn't give him a vision board. I wouldn't give him affirmations. I wouldn't whisper to him a secret technique that promises to open the doors of the universe. I would walk up to him, look him in the eyes, and calmly tell him, "You're making it much harder than it really is." After 3 decades of observing, experimenting, and falling into every possible trap of manifestation, after the vision boards, the affirmations, the scripting, the techniques, the "I have to believe harder," I ended up discovering something that doesn't appear in modern spirituality books. I discovered that most people try to manifest through effort when consciousness only responds to coherence. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you the 5 lessons that changed everything. They are the same ones that today I would like to whisper to that young man who believed that life was an internal war between him and the universe. The first lesson is this: you don't manifest by controlling reality. You manifest by seeing through thought. Most people imagine the law of attraction as if it were a magic wand to create reality from scratch. Manifest a house, manifest a partner, manifest 1,000,000. The seductive trap is believing that we can stop being victims of circumstances and become the architects of destiny, as long as we master our thoughts. I got caught up in that idea too. I thought, if I can imagine a sunny beach in the middle of winter, then I can direct my life from my mind. And yes, that thought can improve your emotional state for a moment. It can even warm your body up a little, but confusing that with the idea that your thoughts control reality is a dangerous illusion. And here's the truth, the one that took me years to accept. You don't create reality with your mind. You align yourself with it when you stop confusing your thoughts with reality itself. For Grinberg, consciousness is not a factory, it's a radar. Reality is already there, vibrating. The field is already emitting information. You don't have to build anything, fight for anything, or force anything. You just have to stop moving frantically between thoughts that disconnect you. Life is like a radio station. The music was always playing. You were the one who spent years turning the wrong dials. I remember an experience that made it clear. I was writing one of my books and it had always flowed well, but there was a chapter that just didn't want to be born. I thought I knew what I wanted to say, but every time I wrote it, the ideas got tangled, lost their meaning, became rigid. I deleted it. I rewrote it. I deleted it again. Until I ended up in that ridiculous scene in front of my computer, the cursor blinking, the page blank, and me frowning so hard that my forehead hurt. I laughed by myself. At that moment, I understood something that Grinberg would call the break from the illusion of thought. I wasn't going to get anything written by trying to write it. You can't force creativity, because creativity doesn't come from a tense mind, but from the expanded field. So I shut down the computer, put on my coat, and went out for a walk. I'm not a photographer, but I like to take pictures. And during that walk, I decided something simple: to look for beauty. No thoughts, no concepts, no solutions, just beauty. And in that subtle search, what always happened when you stop pushing and start observing. The mind gave in, the body relaxed, consciousness opened up, and suddenly what was once impossible became obvious. Not because I thought better, but because I thought less. Not because I forced clarity, but because I stopped erasing. I stopped blocking it. And that led me to understand what I want you to understand today. You don't manifest when you strain your mind. You manifest when you relax your thinking enough to perceive something deeper than it. When you remove the noise, when you become permeable to the field, when you allow the information to come instead of fabricating it, the aligned reality will come on its own. Not by magic, but through attunement. As I walked that day, photographing wildflowers hidden on the edges of the path, clouds that looked like coded messages, textures, shadows, any small detail that caught my attention. I wasn't doing it for leisure. I did it because I knew that simple action had a much deeper purpose. I was interrupting the mental noise that kept me trapped. I was taking my mind out of the problem to allow the change to do its work. When I got home, I made some coffee, looked over the photos I had taken while the water was boiling, and went back to the computer. 20 minutes later, effortlessly, without friction, that chapter that had been resisting me for days was already written. The words weren't thought out, they fell, they slid, they revealed themselves as if something older and wiser inside me had been waiting for me to stop getting in the way. That's how life works as a whole. Nothing that is forced flourishes, not creativity, not decisions, not manifestation. New ideas aren't born from pressure, they come when you step aside. Positive thinking is not the real driving force. The real driving force is stillness. Understanding doesn't come because you push, but because you allow. When mental noise dissolves, deep intelligence, what Grinberg called the field, can finally send its signal without interference. And that signal was always there, always. You were the one who was too busy trying to manufacture solutions with your mind. When you learn to see through the storm of thoughts, when you let them pass like clouds that don't belong to you, what is meant for you becomes audible, clear, inevitable. The next thing I discovered was even more unsettling. It's not your beliefs that block you, but believing in them. The world of self-help is obsessed with limiting beliefs. That you have to reprogram your mind, that you have to change your money story, that you have to do endless techniques, rituals, or therapies to avoid blocking abundance. I bought into that idea for years. It drove me crazy. How am I supposed to clean something that by definition I can't see? How do I know what beliefs are hidden in my subconscious? How can I tell if I've removed them all? It was like asking a blind person to clean an attic they've never seen. Until one day I saw something so simple it seemed ridiculous. A belief is not a chain, it's not a lock, it's not a secret program in your subconscious. A belief is just a thought that you placed too much importance on for too long, nothing more. It's not set in stone, it has no real authority, it has no power on its own. It's mist. And the mist always clears when you stop walking inside it. I also believed I wasn't good with money. I really believed it. I read books, I took courses, I filled notebooks, I repeated affirmations until I was exhausted. Nothing worked. And I spent more money than I want to admit trying to fix something that, as far as I was concerned, was broken inside me. The day everything changed wasn't a day of technique, it was a day of clarity. I realized that thought, I'm not good with money, was just that, a thought. And thoughts aren't the truth. Nor do they need to be obeyed. Nor do they need to be fixed. They just need to be seen. I didn't have to change my financial identity. I didn't have to rewrite my personal story. I didn't have to do any past life healing. I just had to stop believing in an old idea. That doesn't mean that the next day I woke up as a financial genius. It means something more radical. I stopped walking around with a mental blindfold that I had put on myself. And when the blindfold comes off, reality becomes clear. What once seemed impossible becomes obvious. What seemed unattainable becomes accessible. And what seemed like a blockage turns out to be just a misunderstanding between you and your own perception. To say that I became a master of money overnight would be an almost comical fantasy. What really happened was something infinitely simpler and more powerful. I stopped fighting with money. I stopped attaching so much emotion to it. I stopped imagining it as a judge or as a test. I relaxed. Really. And from that moment on, money started to flow in my life as naturally as the tide moves in and out on the shore. It didn't become a trophy, an enemy, or a mystery. It became a rhythm. And when you get into that rhythm, it's no longer something you chase, it's something that happens. If money is where you always trip up, I've prepared a short free class of less than 10 minutes that can open up a whole new understanding for you. It's called Effortless Money Manifestation. Don't underestimate it just because it's short. Sometimes a single idea can accomplish more than years of struggle. The link is in the description, and you can also scan the code on the screen if you prefer. Let's return to the main point. When you stop identifying with a thought, the thought dissolves. When you stop taking an old idea seriously, that idea loses all authority. There's no need to fight against old beliefs or to reprogram anything. You just have to stop obeying them. In that instant, there are no longer any obstacles to abundance. The next thing I would say to myself, to the young man I was, is something that would have changed my life years earlier. Change is not difficult. The hard part is trying to change. I spent years thinking that transforming myself required strength, discipline, techniques, rituals, habits, willpower, a kind of endless internal war. I studied personal development as if my life depended on it. If there had been a college degree in self-improvement, I would have been a professor. I wanted to be a better person. But better according to whom? According to what standard? According to what idea? I convinced myself that somewhere the teachers of all this knew something I didn't know. I imagined that they had their lives perfectly in order, and that's why it was worth listening to them, following them, even paying them. But eventually I found something that brought the whole castle down. There were no secrets, there never were. Life isn't hidden behind techniques. The answers aren't buried in any book. And transformation isn't a reward you get after enough effort. The truth is infinitely simpler. Life changes on its own when you stop interfering. Believing that you need to change yourself to deserve a better life is like saying a river needs to make an effort to flow downhill. The river flows because that is its nature, and you change because that's your nature. Transformation is built into your design. Growth comes pre-programmed. What makes it difficult is resisting it. What makes it slow is trying to control it. What makes it painful is believing that you're not ready. When you stop chasing the idea of becoming someone, you start to hear a voice that was always there, your inner intelligence, the one that Grinberg would call connection with the field. The one that doesn't shout, it whispers. The one that doesn't impose, it guides. The one that, if you follow it, takes you exactly to the next step without you having to force yourself to be anyone different. Real change begins when you let go of the fiction that you have to make it happen. The belief that we need to do something special for manifestation to happen is, ironically, what keeps us furthest from it. Think about it carefully. Revelations never come in the midst of that mental struggle where you try to control every thought. They are never born from tension. They always come in stillness. In those moments when the mind surrenders, even if just for a few seconds, and something deeper takes over. Jacobo Grinberg would say that something deeper is not your rational mind, but your direct connection with the field. That silent intelligence that lies beneath all thought and can only act when you step aside. When you let go of the need to control everything, the next version of yourself emerges naturally. And that version, the one that emerges effortlessly, already has the capacity to sustain what you are trying to manifest. One of the most liberating realizations of my life was this. You're not stuck because life is stuck. You're stuck because you're holding on too tightly. I'll say it again because it's not just a nice phrase. It's a principle of freedom. Every time you or your life seem to be stuck, It's because you're clinging to an illusion of control. You're trying to push the universe with your human hands. And the universe can't be pushed, it must be allowed. And here we reach a point that hurts, but it sets you free. Attachment is not love. Attachment is not genuine desire. Attachment is fear disguised as importance. It's the mind whispering, if I don't get exactly this the way I want and when I want, something bad is going to happen. That's not desire. That's panic in disguise. For years, I struggled to accept the phrase attributed to Buddha, desire is the cause of suffering. Because desire, properly understood, is beautiful. It's life moving forward. But one day, I interpreted that teaching in a different way, and everything changed. What causes suffering is not desire, but wanting nothing to change. Clinging to everything staying the same. Wanting to freeze life so it doesn't move. And then everything makes sense. Nothing remains the same. Bodies age. Relationships evolve. The world turns. Living things change. Accepting that existence is constant movement is allowing energy to flow without resistance. Grinberg would explain it like this. Consciousness is a dynamic field. When you try to hold it still, you suffer. When you go along with it, you awaken. Imagine a river. Its freshness, its life, its clarity exist thanks to movement. Still water becomes stagnant. Flowing water renews itself. The same thing happens with your mind, your money, your relationships, your identity. Even the word currency comes from movement. It's a flow, and every flow needs to circulate. I myself haven't finished that learning process. Change still makes me uneasy. Death still unsettles me, both my own and that of those I love. But I'm starting to see something I didn't see before. Life has always taken me to better places than my fear could have imagined. Nothing I am today would be possible without those changes I once rejected. If I think about it, neither the love I have, nor the peace I have, nor the life I have would have been born without the constant flow of the unexpected. Maybe if I live long enough, I'll look back and say, what I believe is stable today was only the beginning. Change is uncertainty, right? But it's also a possibility. It's the way the universe surprises you. Attachment says, it has to be this way. Trust says, show me something better. That leads us to the final principle. Manifesting doesn't come from effort, but from silence. If I could tattoo a single message in the sky, it would be this one. You don't need a technique to access what you already have inside. All those years searching for methods, visualizing, visualizations, vision boards, rituals. That whole journey made me forget the essential. Manifestation happens when the mind is calm. The subconscious isn't something you need to reprogram from the outside. It's a system that automatically returns to its natural state when the noise disappears. Every time your mind becomes still, you return to the 0 point, to the silence from which all possibilities arise. And from there, life organizes itself. Sometimes it comes as an idea, sometimes as a person, sometimes so subtle that you don't see it until you look back, but it always comes. The secret was never a method, it was silence, and silence is not created. It has always been waiting for you beneath all your thoughts. If I could give my 20-year-old self some advice, I wouldn't tell him about miracle techniques or secret formulas for manifesting. I would tell him something much simpler. Get used to silence. Learn to recognize it. Get familiar with that inner stillness that we almost never hear because we live surrounded by noise. And I'm not just talking about physical noise, but also mental noise, emotional noise, the constant barrage of stimuli that hound us from the very first second of the day. We live in a time when the mind rarely rests. Every notification is a drain on our energy. Every screen is an interruption. Every minute there's something demanding our attention. Never before in history has human consciousness been so fragmented. That's why silence isn't a luxury, it's a return. A way to return to the origin of thought before thought becomes a storm. You don't need a spiritual retreat or hours of formal meditation. 5 minutes is enough, a simple space, a chair, a room without devices. You turn everything off. You close your eyes and observe, that's all. The mind will do what it knows how to do. Think. It will jump from one idea to another. It will try to drag you along with it. It will try to convince you that what's urgent can't wait. Let it be. Let it be. Don't fight. Don't try to fix it. Just observe as if you were watching the movement of the clouds. Something strange starts to happen when you don't chase after every thought. The mind, which seemed untamable, begins to settle. It becomes slower, lighter, and from time to time, not always, not at first, but at certain moments, stillness appears. That microscopic pause where there are no words, no effort, no identity, just a living, open, blank awareness. In that tiny space, everything is hidden. The field, the origin, the intelligence that sustains what is real. It's only a moment, but you recognize it right away, and you love it, because nothing is missing there. Grinberg would describe it as the 0 point of the field of consciousness. It's the place where perception opens up without filters, and where reality stops feeling external. There, manifestation is not an act, it's a natural consequence. If I had to sum up everything I've learned about manifestation in years of experimentation, it would be just a few principles, all born from that same stillness. First, don't think you manifest by controlling reality. You manifest when you see beyond thought and align yourself with the field. Second, it's not your beliefs that block you, but the act of believing those beliefs are true. Third, change is not difficult. It happens the very moment you stop trying to change. Fourth, attachment is never love. It's fear disguised as importance. It's the mind trying to stop the river out of fear of the unknown. And fifth, effortless manifestation is born from silence, not from methods. It's not about pushing the universe, but letting it catch up with you. You don't have to convince life to cooperate with you. You just have to stop resisting long enough to hear what life has always been whispering to you. Because reality doesn't respond to your tension, it responds to your harmony. If this resonated with you, I'd like you to keep just one idea in mind. Everything changes when you learn to listen to the stillness that lives behind your thoughts. That's where true manifesting power lies. That's the point where your inner field comes into order. That's where life begins to flow to you effortlessly.